Steven Gerrard has had a really big impact, I think, on Aston Villa early doors, changing the system completely, looking at a 4-3-2-1, which in the Premier League is not that common. And I like that he's doing something different tactics and shapes. Always intrigue me rather than the bog standard 4-3-3 gegenpress that you see all the time. So something a little bit different for you today. Hope you enjoy it. Smash a like on today's video. Go check out all the other tactics videos on the channel. And as always, tactic links to everything down below. Get it involved in your saves. Let me know how you get on with it. I'm going to use it in my Twitch series, which is starting next week, start of February, over on Twitch, Saturday nights and Monday nights. I'm building a nation with Gothenburg. I wanted to do something a little bit different tactically, and I think I'm going to take this over and use it in there. All right, guys, let's get into today's tactic video. Steven Gerrard's 4-3-2-1. Alright boys, here we are. So as you can see on the screen, it is a 4-3-2-1. I had a little toy before I put the tactic together was what to do with these two roles here. The two 10s. Buendia and Coutinho played and started together against Everton at the weekend. And I just, because obviously this is Trequartista channel, this is Trek, and I was trying to think of a role that would suit Coutinho in here. And the fact that the person, the sort of like the hard-coded instructions are dribble more, take more risks, roam from the position, move into channels, kind of gave it a feel that it was ideal for him. And so far what I've seen in the match engine, it looks really good. We've got Buendia then as just an advanced playmaker on support, but I think the general worries for people using a Trequartista is that they don't do much defensively, and I have been really surprised by the little Brazilian's work rate, despite him only being 12, which to be fair, for an advanced playmaker, 12 work rate isn't bad. I'm going to show you some clips soon where we're going to go through and show you just how good defensively he is for the team, and then Buendia in particular as well, also doing his job for the team. So I think if you're going to put this tactic together, you need to make sure you have a few key principles. Principle number one, I think your fullbacks need to be aggressive. Luckily for Aston Villa, they've just signed Lucas Digne, so he is on a complete wing-back on attack. Matty Cash on the other side, also very good at going forward. The midfield three, even though you've got a Mazzala in there, I think all of them still need to be of an ilk of a sort of like a number 8, a box-to-box midfielder. All players that are very comfortable without the ball in terms of working and pressing and tackling. What I wouldn't recommend is playing a Buendia or Coutinho in there. I think those three are vital. They've got a lot of ground to cover. They're kind of making up now. Coutinho is not blessed with a lot of sort of like the physicalities to get himself about and work off the ball, so he's not going to offer a great deal. So I think it's important when you put the tactic together, if you're not using Aston Villa, to make sure that your three in here are all decent off the ball. Okay, so let's have a little look at the team. We're looking at Martinez as a sweeper keeper on attack, a sweeper keeper on support, sorry. Nothing in particular change there. The two fullbacks are key. I've got Lucas Digne on attack, complete wing-back. Matty Cash, complete wing-back on support. I think we're expecting Digne to be more of the attacking outlet in terms of overlaps and getting higher at the pitch, but Matty Cash definitely likes to get forward. In particular, playing instruction for both, we've got tackle harder and mark tighter. What we found is, against the game, and in particular since Gerrard's taken over, Matty Cash gets in here and he's very aggressive. I think the weakness, obviously, of this tactic is no wide players, no wide midfielders to support. So really, what I was hoping for was Matty Cash and Digne to get in here, into these areas here, hold up the midfielder. So any balls that are played into a wide midfielder's feet, it stops him turning and running. What I want is, and what I've seen brilliantly in the match engine, is Matty Cash getting tighter, either making a foul or pressing enough, which then forces the play backwards. I think what you don't want is the opposition left winger to have time and space in these areas here for him to be able to turn and then run at Matty Cash and have the opportunity to sort of like carry the ball 20, 30 yards up the pitch. So I've done that on both of them. Mark tight and tackle hard. Obviously, what I found is Cash and Digne were very aggressive in the tackle at the weekend against Everton, in particular Matty Cash up against Richarlison, so I've put that in. Two defenders, in Konza and Mings. We've just gone for central defenders. I've gone for the, I don't normally do it, but I've just gone for a cover and stopper. I just thought Tyrone Mings is very aggressive in these areas here, sort of like in the left channel, so I just thought using him as a stopper would be quite a realistic way to go. The middle three is an interesting one now. I think there's arguments that you could say McGinn plays him as a Mazzala as well. He does get into these wide areas, but what I wanted from him a little bit, because obviously Samson will roam around in these areas here, I just want him to be a little bit more direct. I think McGinn's not a roamer. He's very direct, energetic in his play, and when he gets into these areas, it's more of a dart. So what I'm wanting is him getting up and maybe potentially getting on the end of things occasionally, working hard and working this right channel. We have got shoot more often and stay wider because, once again, he gets involved and sort of like links up play with Matty Cash down this side and tackle harder because obviously that's what he does. Nakamba, or is it Douglas Luiz, the central midfielder? Now, I don't necessarily think he does that. I don't want that. But what I have found is just having him on support, it did find him getting into areas that I probably wouldn't get. I've just switched this recently to defenders since pre-season. It's worked really nice. Just sits in front of the back four. He's not babysitting them. He's not sitting right in here, but he's just a little bit of an option and builds up a few nice little passing triangles out from the back. And then Ramsey or Sanson, whoever it's going to be, on this left-hand side, just as a Mazzala on support. And then once again, tackling harder. The midfield three, so important. With the middle, with the 2 10s in front, you're not going to get a lot out of them in terms of quality defending. So it's important to have these guys really making their mark and bossing it in the central midfield. So I've got Sanson on tackle harder. And then the number 10s, we've got Trequartista, we've already spoke about, and Philip Coutinho. I'm really excited to use this in my Twitch save, which I'm going to be starting next Saturday, starting in February. I think it will be February the 5th. I think it'll be. Really looking forward to seeing how getting a Trequartista going. Never really used a Trequartista, even though the channel is called Trequartista. Shame on me. But so far, I've seen him getting into these areas, picking up balls and playing balls through. I've seen him getting on the end of things for tap-ins inside the 6-yard box. He gets absolutely everywhere. And then Buendia does a lot of floating about, but he's got on the end of things. I think the real link-up play has been good between these two and Watkins. Watkins is a complete forward on attack. He does a little bit of everything, does Watkins. I think for me at the moment, he just gets the nod in front of Danny Ings just because of his general hold-up player, working the channels probably a little bit more, probably a little bit better on the break as well, that little bit extra of turning pace. But what I've found is him dropping into these here, picking up balls from the midfielders, picking up balls from the centre-halves, holding it up, laying it off, and then spinning into space. It's been really, really good to watch. So there is the shape, the 4-3-2-1. Mentality, we've just gone for positive. Obviously, we want to get the ball down and play a little bit. I did have it on balanced, and I just wasn't seeing enough of getting the ball to these 3 players in particular. So what I wanted to do was really make sure that, not dominating games, the possession statistics of Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa so far hasn't been amazing in terms of numbers, but they have played some harder teams. But even against Everton, I think the first half when they completely bossed it against Everton, it was only sort of like just over 50% anyway. And then the second half, they were down as low as, I think, 44 or 45. So possession's not absolutely massive, but I just wanted us just to get a bit more of a foothold in the game. Some of the games we expected a little bit more possession we weren't getting, so I thought, right, let's just move it up onto positive. And so far, it's worked pretty well. In possession, shorter passing, we want the ball. We want the ball to progress through the thirds as much as possible. Focus play down the left. It was just another thing that I've seen in the analytics of the Everton-Aston Villa game. A lot of play is going to be focused down this left-hand side with Lucas Digne. So I've got that on. We want Lucas Digne getting in as high as possible. That's where it is his best. His defending is questionable at the best of times. So I thought it was best to try and promote that and get that ball out on that left-hand side. Also, Coutinho's on that left-hand side as well, which works pretty nice. A higher tempo, especially in possession. I do find in Football Manager with the lower tempo, it's just so boring to watch. And I haven't gone for anything stupid. I've just knocked it up one higher. We want the ball in. We want players like McGinn and Ramsey, Sanson, Buendia to really get on the ball and dictate. And the higher tempo and getting the fullbacks up. Everything quickened up, I think, just a touch. And then nothing else. It's quite a basic in terms of custom. These may change over time. Remember, Steven Gerrard's not been there long, and obviously he's just signed Coutinho. So I think over time some of these may change. But from watching it, nothing else is really standing out for me. It's quite a basic tactic that he's working on at the moment. In transition, I've just gone for counter. I've not gone for counter press. I looked at the stats from the Everton game, and there's not a lot in terms of high recoveries, getting the ball back high up the pitch. So I've just left it on counter. Our players will naturally do it. And then everything else, Martinez does distribute quite long. He has quite a wide variety of kicks, so I didn't want to just go long all the time. At the same time, I just didn't want to do short kicks. So I've completely left that because he has a nice wide range of passing. Out of possession, we're forcing possession inside. Obviously, we're weaker on the flanks where we've got a sort of like a numerical disadvantage. So we want to force the player inside to where we've got 2 centre-halves, a 3, a 2 and a 1. A little bit different to maybe what you normally find in the game. A lower line of engagement. Once again, they're not one that's known for high pressing of yet, and that's just a standard line. So it's nice and compact in there. We're not doing anything fancy in terms of gegenpressing and working ridiculous off the ball. Trigger press, we've just got more often. I think that's important just to get these middle three, the three central midfielders, just to get them hunting down the ball a little bit quicker, a little bit more aggressively. Tackling, we've got get stuck in. They have been quite aggressive, you know, with Cash, Mings. Digne was pretty aggressive, and the midfield three, Nakamba when he's fit, McGinn, Ramsey, Samson, all like to put themselves about. Douglas Luiz, obviously, all like to put themselves about. And Watkins as well works very hard and likes to put in a tackle. So I thought that was quite realistic. It's also a personal choice of mine. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know how it works. And then if you're going to look at opposition instructions, what I would do is I wouldn't press the centre halves. But what I would do is make sure wingers are pressed. That's the danger when the ball goes out to the wingers. I necessarily wouldn't press the fullbacks because I haven't seen a lot of that from Coutinho and Watkins and Buendia so far. And obviously, if we just go back, so I can show you, if Coutinho is having to travel 20 or 30 yards to get across there, by the time he's got across, the ball's going to be played and they're going to play out the press. So I would leave them off. I would maybe even put in never press the fullbacks. But then what I would do is spring into life when it comes into here. So a defensive midfielder, an attacking midfielder, especially the wingers. We want marking tight. We want Cash and Digne up in their faces, not allowing them to turn. That's what I would do in terms of opposition instructions. By the way, if you just do it in here, it doesn't work. So make sure you do it at the start of every game. All right, those are everything, the instructions. Let's dive into the match engine and just see a few things that I've picked up in so far. And you might be surprised, in particular, about the work rate of the two number 10s. Okay, first highlight, we're just going to look at the two number 10s, in particular Coutinho, and just a little bit of work he does off the ball, and also Buendia. So there is Coutinho. I think that is Buendia. So there are my two 10s. Now the ball's going to go long. I think the ball's going to come down. So here is Coutinho right now. Where is Buendia? There he is. We're just going to watch Coutinho. So he's in a nice little space. He's kind of marking a little bit of space there. He's not... I think the worry is for a lot of people that Coutinho just basically stand out the way off the pitch and don't do anything until the ball is turned over and their team's in possession. But it's not quite the case. He does a little bit of work for us. So there is Digne pressing really hard. I think if that ball came into Brun and Digne was back here, Brun would turn and run and potentially slip in a pass to the central striker. But because he's marking tightly and aggressively, he's forced to play sideways. Okay, here is Coutinho, so working off the ball. Works pretty well. He shuffles across. Not too much pressure, but just enough. Once again, he's working quite hard. Pushing the fullbacks in. Working the fullbacks. Tracking a run of the fullback as well. So here you go, look. It's pretty lined up a bit like a narrow 4-4-2 at the moment. With Buendia there, and Coutinho's... Where is Coutinho? Coutinho's in there. So he's definitely helping out the team. The ball goes across. Just watch Buendia. Watch his movement now. So the ball is going to move across. And to be fair, it should be Watkins that goes across there. But Buendia does a great job, even though he's an advanced playmaker and support. And this is where we're at our weakest. This is obviously the bit we're at our weakest because we haven't got a right midfielder. But to be fair to Buendia, he keeps running. He tracks the run all the way back into the final third. I don't think the score, if it does. No, a header over. They get a crossing, but still, what we're not seeing is Buendia and Coutinho just stood up the pitch, not helping, not contributing defensively. Right, here we go. Next little highlight. What we're going to see is now a throw is going into their central striker. Here is Mings on. Oh, it's a Paya at the moment. It was going in, pressive aggressively. Anything in this middle third, obviously, we're working to try and get the ball back. Ball's flipped over, we're going to get the possession down, and off we go. Now, what I do like is just the movement again of Buendia and Coutinho. So there is Buendia. Oh, Coutinho's there, Buendia's there. And just working in the little half space. He's in between the defence and midfield. Look, so he's picked up the pass. As you can see, Coutinho now is going to get in between the defence and the midfield, and we're off. We're breaking. Best thing about this as well, if we just zoom out, look at Lucas Digne. I think one of the best bits about the tactic is because Coutinho works in this half space, sort of like the right channel for the defending team, it occupies the right fullback a little bit. I think this guy is actually the right fullback, Gilbert, and it's sucked him right in, which now means we've got this huge space to knock the ball into when it finally does come. I think, yeah, Watkins plays it out wide, and Digne's now got all that room. Samson, what's he going to do? He squares it to Buendia. I think we lose the ball. Do we lose it? We do lose it. Never mind. But do you see what I mean with I think Coutinho coming in, it sucks in the right back. Okay, just a little one. Obviously, we're holding up. I just want to show you a little bit that Watkins does very well. So here he is, Watkins. He's quite isolated at the moment, but I think what he is good is the complete forward on attack. Holds the ball up, and straight away we've got a spring of midfielders coming and getting involved. He just plays it off, and I think because of the runners of the playmakers and the trequartistas, I think you can get a ball into his feet. He holds it well. I think that's what the complete forward will do a lot more. But then the best thing about it, he's actually then spun. I'm not sure if Coutinho does pick him out or not. He doesn't. He goes himself this time. But I think the complete forward on attack is absolutely vital. Just holds up the ball just for those few seconds, allows the two number 10s to play off him and get involved, and there was ended up being a shot on goal. Okay, next little highlight is just a little shot we got on goal. I think it's a bit of a midfield overload here. So as you can see, we have got 5 in there. If you count the 2 10s and the 3 central midfielders, we've often got maybe a 5v2, a 5v3 in there. And this is what we just work it really nicely. Nothing flash. Throw in, side foot pass, sideways pass. But what it does is because we've got the overload in here, 1, 2, 3, 4 against 3, we're able to shift it. And just watch Buendia, just as he sees the opportunity, this player is going to go in, Janlet is going to go in and try and close down McGinn by the looks of it. And it just opens out that space for him getting in the half space, a little bit of an overload. The opportunity with Buendia as an advanced player, he's going to look to play balls in the channel. And he's in a nice central area to slip the ball in. To be fair to Watkins, should have done a lot better. But just with, I think, the advanced playmaker and support, he drops into midfield to make that overload, gets the ball and tries to play forward. And then this one here, just Buendia, we've got him advanced playmaker on support, but he does do a little nice third man run. So targets in here, where is Buendia there? He's in a nice little half space. Danny Ings, once again, by the way, let's just roll that back. Danny Ings, the complete forward on attack, doing a job, comes off the centre half really well, gets that little opportunity to half space, and then you've got runners. There is Traore, who's playing as the trequartista at the moment, but Buendia, even though he's advanced playmaker and support, he's looking to get forward. Lovely slip, third man run, and to be fair to Buendia, I think he misses. He does miss. A really poor finish, but once again, the movement is absolutely fantastic. I think the complete forward on attack, you need to have someone who's good enough to hold the ball up in possession. All right, here we go. Last few. We're just going to now look at, by the way, look at McGinn. Oh, so it's Buendia working really hard to get in there. Close down. We actually get possession back. Get it back. Couple of nice little passes. But then what we're looking at, just watch Dinya. What's he up to? We play a little bit. We keep passing. Matty Cash, Buendia. We've got the overloads in. Across midfield. We work it very nicely. Konza striding into the midfield as well. Buendia with the pick out. I think once again, because of the position of Coutinho, it just sucks in the right back a little bit and just allows that extra little bit of space across at the far side for Lucas Digne. Do we get an end product? We get a cross, do we potentially? There's the Mazzala. Watkins hits the bar. But once again, I think if you're going to have this tactic, if you can get a left wing back, which is a Lucas Digne sort of player who's able to get forward aggressively, someone like Buendia as well who can pick out passes, I think you're going to be absolutely golden. Right, and the last little one is just showing you the position of Akamba. Obviously, because we've got the two fullbacks pushing up really high, Lucas Digne in particular pushing up really high, I think it's important just to have that person. He's not playing as a half-back, a role that I really do like in Football Manager, but he's just playing as a central midfielder, ball-winning midfielder on defend, and all he's doing is acting as a bit of a pivot. He's the top of a triangle there, and it's just enabled us just to shift the ball, work the ball sensibly until we get the opportunity. This time it's Tyrone Mings being able to step forward, and we find a pass in the middle of the field. We've broke the lines, we've broke through a midfielder and a striker there in terms of Sarr and Cleverley. But just showing you the role that he does, and once again, he's sat in there, picking up any potential danger, any balls coming out, he's going to pick them up, sit him on defend rather than support. We don't need him in here, clustering it up. What we do want him just as a backup, just in case there's a counter-attack, and also helping us build from the back, allowing us to potentially get Konza and Mings stepping into midfield. All right, and the last one is just a little bit of a highlights reel. Coutinho, this was the first game of the season in terms of pre-season. Coutinho, we're on a break here. Watkins, Coutinho scored all 5. Now, it is a penalty and a free kick in there, but I just want to show you the variation of goals that he scores. So there he is. He's busting his ass to get into the middle, and he scores, inside the 6-yard box, which is good. I think his next one's a penalty. No, it's a beautiful whip free kick. Lovely free kick from the little Brazilian. Penalty for his hat-trick. And then we're just going to watch his movement here. So once again, he's in the middle of midfield, but then all of a sudden he just spins off. And once again, I think the fullback is now not sure. He's a little bit worried about target out here, and he's just got that space to run into as Coutinho. Matty Cash picks him up superbly, and he ends up getting on the end of it. Pretty much like a shadow striker kind of run there from the trequartista. And then his last one, I think this is key. And I know it's a brilliant effort, but you're going to get a lot of these. If you're playing with 2 10s, I've already seen Buendia do it twice as well. If you're playing with players of the quality of Coutinho and Buendia as 2 attacking 10s, how Football Manager does like to give you the occasional thunder bastard strike into the top corner, and Coutinho does it here. He's going to get loads of time and space because he's coming off the lines and having that little opportunity just to turn. You're going to get a fair few goals from your number 10s by just turning and hitting from distance. All right, guys, that is it. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm going to use it in my Twitch save. Let me know down in the comments if you're going to use it, or even jump in the Discord. Links to that down below. Let me know how it's running for you. Hopefully you found it interesting. Something a little bit different today rather than a standard Gegenpress, which is normally the go-to on Football Manager. So I hope you enjoyed it. Take care, guys, and we'll see you next week.